Welcome back to Tales of Two Bros. I am Angel,
I'm Adan.
and we have again today Kimberly.
Hi.
This is our movie review of Uncharted. Dun, dun, dun. Spoilers. The time of this recording, we just recently saw Uncharted. This is one of many films to date that has been banned in the video game world, like Mario Brothers, Sonic the Hedgehog, Double Dragons, Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter, Tekken.
Then you
Any
have
other
like
ones I'm missing?
you said Resident Evil,
Resident Evil, correct. Silent Hill.
Blood Rain, House of the Dead.
These are live action ones.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a few that we've probably missed, and and even at that, Blood Rain was not known by a lot of people. It was like made for video.
Halo's not out yet. Halo's coming out.
Oh yeah, that's a show though.
On Paramount. Yeah, it's a show coming out on Paramount Plus, I believe. But this is one of the latest ones. Sonic Hedgehog or Sonic 2 is coming out, I think. It's next weekend. I think it's around your birthday.
Yeah, it probably is. Did you mention Mario?
Because I did.
Okay.
That's okay. There's a few movies out there already that was inspired from video games. And this is Sony's, I believe, first one.
I wouldn't be able to say if it's the first or last.
Right.
Google it.
Well, definitely, let's say it's the latest. Can't go wrong with that.
True.
Starring Spider-Man and Marky Mark.
No Funky Bunch.
Off the bat, Alan, did you enjoy it?
I had a decent time.
Kimberly.
I enjoyed it, and I enjoyed it because I've never seen the game. So I don't know what to base the movie from. So
Fair point. And I enjoyed it. It is a great popcorn movie, I would say. If you're a fan of Indiana Jones, if you're a fan of Jackie Chan films, this is a great blend of those genres mixing together.
I know what you're thinking about when you say Jackie Chan, like probably like Armor of God.
Correct. You know. Which was a tribute in a way to Indiana Jones because he was an archaeologist himself.
Oh, and Goonies.
Yes, there's a touch of Goonies in there. And
especially towards the end.
Yes, with the ships.
If we're talking about Goonies vibes, when they're trying to figure out and the water's rising. Although I was kind of getting the feel of more like Big Trouble in Little China for that one scene where it was like the elevator.
Yeah, that's true. Another great movie. Jeez. But also it felt like, again, Indiana Jones and Temple of Doom.
Mm-hmm.
When the spikes are coming down, they got to pull the lever. But what I'm talking about in the sense of Jackie Chan, in the sense of his movements, he saw Drake, the way he moved, the whole was very in the sense of parkour, in the sense that he'll go in one direction and change into another direction just to keep the villains or the bad guys on their toes or off their toes or catch them off their toes.
And well, also that very same scene right before the water at the rave party where he's doing the bartending skills and fighting with those skills. That's
right.
Kind of like a Jackie Chan maneuver. Jackie Chan would use the equipment, incorporate that into the fight.
For example, also in that club scene where Nathan, who's played by Tom Holland, Spider-Man, that he jumps onto the bar in one direction and then dives into the hole in the other direction. Again, it's something like Jackie Chan would do. But for those who are never, like Kim, who have never experienced the game, which I loved, and I believe you love too.
Yeah, there were several games. I only played 2. You played way more than I did.
Right. I haven't played the 4 and the one with the girls, which is they put in one of them here, Chloe. And I told her because I was like, oh, I know who that character is. I try to help her out while watching, like, who is this and what's going on, or they're on the right track of honoring the game. Like I said, I was in love with the games. I love playing them. There was one game, because there's like 4 of them, where it felt like you're watching a movie. You could be a spectator, not a player. You can still enjoy the story of it.
Yeah.
Because a lot of video games will have great gameplay on the screen. It's like sharp, it's high resoluted. But when you go to the cutscenes, it is so obvious they go into the cutscene. Sometimes it'll be a black screen.
Yeah, I see what you're talking about. You're talking about like the transition.
Where in the game, the transition will be almost seamless. Like you didn't know, like you'd still be playing and you think you're playing, but then they go into dialogue.
I remember the first time that happened to me, I was hitting the controller. I was like, go left. And I'm like, he's not moving. And then I realized, oh, I'm in a cutscene.
Yeah. The stunts they did here copied how they would do it in the game, like the way he jumped or climbed up. I was very happy in that aspect. I was very happy that they were able to honor the feeling of the game and transfer it into a movie. Any standout scenes for you, or what did you like overall about it? Because I just explained to me what I liked overall.
It's fun. Like you said, it's a popcorn film. I didn't really need to think too much because I only remember, I haven't played the game in years. The few moments that really stood out is like cinematically, it captures some of the feel of the game. Like that opening scene on the plane and so forth like that. I felt like an opening scene in one of their games because the one that comes to mind, I forget what version of the game it was, but it was like on the train and the train was hanging over a cliff and it was pretty much the same kind of thing. And that's how they would do it. Like you be starting your game in a moment, there's a tense moment, and then everything else is a flashback that leads up to that moment, and then you get the rest of the story from there.
I want to say it's Uncharted 2. I think that's the game that really got people to like, oh, wow.
Yeah, I think so.
Because they had that train, like you said, where it crashes and he's climbing up at one time, where before, like you said, it was over a cliff and he almost fell because he's trying not to get shot.
I loved some of the character portrayals. The Scotsman, the Highlander, they called him.
Oh yeah, that's pretty.
When he talked, it reminded me of Samurai Jack.
Yes, and I died laughing because that was the first thing that came to my mind because that was like almost just like the scene on the bridge when he first meets him, and Jack goes, "What?" It was pretty much the same moment. So he was just a fun, ongoing character. That, in all honesty, I don't think he has any relevance to the game. That they just have him in there.
I know Chloe is because she's from a spinoff of the Uncharted series. I like that they included her. Anything else?
Most of the actors I enjoyed. I love the fact that they used Tom Holland's skills. He's a very physical performer, and you could see that he carried that from when he was doing Spider-Man into this, and it actually works. I'm sure he had stuntmen to do the more serious stuff, but it carries through the film. For what it was a solid story. It dragged on a little bit in some areas, but it was pretty solid story.
Did you stay for the post credits?
I did.
What about you?
There was two.
Yes, there were two. What about you?
I like the tempo, even though there may have been some slow moments. They weren't very long, and it just seemed like it was going through the story in a very nice pace.
Yeah,
I stayed awake.
Right.
Yeah.
It was just an important thing for me.
I mean, there were some slow moments, yes. It dealt with Nathan's brother.
Yeah, but those are to be expected.
Right. No, you're right. But I'm just saying that's when it came, because when he was trying to think.
Yeah, but it wasn't like a slow moment that you're just like, okay, come on, let's move it along. A moment, but then they, went on to the next.
And I was hoping, or I was wondering, if the original voice actor of Nathan Drake will show up and make a cameo, because he's relatively young. I believe he's in his 50s.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, there he was. He's also one of the original voices of Deadpool.
True.
On the animation. So, and he's a well-known actor. I want to say Nolan North.
I as soon as he spoke, I recognized his voice. I'm like, oh yeah, that's the only way that scene could have been better is if they had Nathan Fillion sitting beside him, because that was the dream casting that everybody wanted originally for that role.
Oh, really?
Because they did that fan film online on YouTube where he actually plays that character. Oh yeah, and people were like, did he lose weight for that? Because it was a fan film and it looked the part. He's obviously much older than Tom Holland. When they did that fan film, it was like him being older.
After watching the movie and seeing the end credits, you can see how it can be multiple movies afterward.
True.
And so it's good to have a young actor be able to do those. What do you think about Sully, played by Marky Mark?
So, granted.
Okay, there we go.
Well, here's the thing. I only have the one perception of Sully that I had, which was the older character. Watching Mark Wahlberg do his portrayal of Sully, it seems so similar to a lot of other character portrayals he's done.
Yeah.
Well, he sounds the same.
He does sound. It's not like he was trying to go. I mean, like, number one, fine. You don't want to put an accent or anything like that. I don't ask for that. But your tone sounded like Mark Wahlberg from The Other Guys. It sounded like Mark Wahlberg from any other comedy film that's an action. Here's Mark Wahlberg from The Big Hit. He sounded just like that at various points. Like it's just his other portrayals just coming to life.
At least he mixed it up.
Well, in the video game, Sully, there's age behind his voice. There's experience behind his voice.
And he does do wisecracks and stuff like that,
Yeah,
but
where
it didn't
like you
feel the
said,
same.
they seem like brothers. It
Yeah.
says like 5 years apart instead of like 10 to 15.
I mean, is it fair to say that the chemistry didn't feel quite right between the two of them?
Well, I kind of like the chemistry,
Mm-hmm.
but I would have liked it to have Sully have a little more wisdom behind him.
Fair.
We get that he's a con man. We get it that he's always in it for himself. There's a reason for it, and it doesn't seem like, now granted, Mark Wahlberg, he's not a young chicken,
Mm-hmm.
or he's not a spring chicken,
But
but he's in his 50s. He looks a lot younger. Where Sully is like, he looks like
life happened and stuff like that.
And quite frankly, he wasn't doing as much of the fighting. Like Nathan, he was the one that's doing all of the
action.
the action, the
heavy
but
lifting.
he also
Right.
because he was the one that's down in the tunnels, figuring all the little things, clues out, and everything.
But that's how it was
Fighting
in
the
the video
security
game, too.
guards and all that jazz.
Nathan was the heavy lifter.
Mm-hmm.
Where Sully was more like the guide, he'll get him there. He'll be the pilot. He'll be the driver.
He has the contacts.
Even in the auction, he was sitting there bidding, and he was kind of like telling Spider-Man, hey, hurry, if you're going to do something, hurry up and do it now.
Well, yeah, because he's betting on something of what he doesn't have.
Yeah.
So that's how it was in the video game. But like I said, there was a gravitas Sully had in the video game where it wasn't exactly here.
What about you, Kim? Like, since you don't have that reference, how did you feel about the Sully portrayal with Mark Wahlberg?
I thought he did a great job, but I don't know what to compare it to because of them being thrown together the way it was. You don't have an immediate connection right off the bat when you meet a stranger. That has to grow through experience, through journeys through.
Well, I think what happened was that connection happened quickly when saw the map, because that connected to his brother, and then Sully with that map.
At the end on the airplane, on the helicopter, when they were flying off, you got to see an actual bonding moment where they were like, they're kidding, they're joking, they're like ha ha ha, and you actually felt like the brotherly love feeling.
You do get that.
But I'm just saying it grew to that point.
Right. Well, no, they do have it. They started with the banter right away. It was more like, at first was a mistrust.
Mm-hmm.
And then it became bantering of trust. I do think they had chemistry. Just felt that his voice and of Sully, how Adan and I have seen portrayed, it just didn't, I guess, match what we originally saw.
He's not our Sully. But he was a
Sully,
fun portrayal.
Little Mermaid.
Oh yes,
Little Mermaid. Sully is the pelican.
Oh
yeah.
Well, that's his name.
He was a fun role and character in the movie. It's just that if I'm having that frame of reference, it's hard as a sell to go like, for me to jump in, that's my Sully, in regards to it. So that was a little bit. It takes away from the performance for me. It's just like when we're watching like a DC movie or like a Marvel movie, we have a certain perspective on how our character is based on other references, and that can affect how we perceive that performance. Overall, it wasn't necessarily a bad performance.
No, in the end credit, we see him as we know, mustache with the haircut. He has
a cigar. He even said, "Where's the mustache? Where's the mustache?"
Yeah, the cigar, and I think he had a Hawaiian shirt or a guayabera.
Yeah,
that shows that there was some time frame, obviously, because you can't grow a mustache in a day, so there's some time frame happened. I do think the guy in the eye patch is an Easter egg to one of the baddies in Uncharted 3, I want to say.
I felt like he was a character from another Uncharted game.
Right, Uncharted. Well, I'm saying Uncharted 3.
Mm-hmm.
Was it Uncharted? Maybe it was Uncharted 2 again? I can't remember. There was a character.
If you're all watching this, comment below who it is, if we're right.
Well, which game am I talking about? Is it Uncharted 2 or Uncharted 3? Because again, I know there's a character who he's bald and scarred because of combat, and he has a patch. He's voiced by one of them great British actor. I just can't remember.
Who was a surprise performance set up for you in this movie? Because they had some people that are, obviously big names. um, Antonio Banderas, Mark Wahlberg,
Oh,
Tom Holland,
him.
and then they have ones that are not big names.
I love Antonio Banderas in this. I just wish he stayed alive.
That
I think they took him off
too soon.
That was quite
way too
unexpected.
soon. I mean, granted, also you see her walking up to you.
But she was behind him.
No, but she was in front of him at first,
Yeah,
and
but
then
it's
stuff to explain his legacy and
going to a monologue.
back. Yeah,
Mhm.
and she just comes by, and
He got Deep Blue Seed.
the thing is that it wasn't that deep because you saw there was no blood thing.
Yeah.
I guess it was because of they wanted to keep it at a certain rating that there was no blood pool.
I did laugh about that too because I saw the slit. I'm like, oh, and then they kept focusing back on it. I'm like, oh, it's like that.
I was like, I get it. They want to keep it, I guess, PG. I thought he was great. I mean, like Mark Wahlberg, Antonio has his way of talking. He's so serious. He looks away and then he looks back. Pauses a lot, like he really has something to say, or maybe he has to really hold in a fart.
The Latino Shatner.
Exactly right.
But that's what women love.
But he was
Yeah.
awesome, and I
Except for that
thought,
one, bro.
like, damn it. And talking
Oh.
about her,
Oh
Bra-
my
Braddock.
God. Can we please talk about what in the world is up with that hair?
She looked like a straight up
Style.
alien.
That was,
I think she was on the show Sabrina.
Good for her. But the thing is, like,
that's one thing in the movie that I would have changed, that I don't like, that I would have just
but
that
what would you
hair.
have changed? Her or her hairstyle?
Her hairstyle, because it was the same throughout the whole movie. I'm sorry, but what did you do? Did she Gorilla Glue that stuff like that? Or because at least, okay, the first scene, okay, I understand, because she was wearing, it was at the auction. She had the nice gown. She was, but then it was like throughout it, her wardrobe changed, but her hairstyle stayed the same. It's like, put on a different dude. Let's change it
Well,
up a
people
little
change
bit.
their clothes, but not keep the same hairstyle.
Oh yeah, they changed their hairstyle a lot,
Not that
babe.
much. But the thing is, she reminded me that hairstyle. She looked like an alien, and it kind of reminded me of one of those lizards people from.
Wait, are you talking about Land of the Lost?
Yes. I mean,
okay, so you didn't like her
but-
hair, but what about her?
I didn't. No.
And then
No.
her character was just stale. It's like she was trying to prove something, which
She was always beaten.
She didn't
she had
feel
to
as
kill
threatening.
shit. Right.
Yeah.
Say the Scotsman and her switch places.
The Scotsman would have been
funnier.
more.
No, it'd have been more. It would have been funnier and more
convincing.
entertaining, and probably a little more menacing. Not to say that women can't be menacing. We know that because we did see another short hair woman control a man's feelings.
Oh, he's referencing.
But she didn't feel like a threat, like we said earlier. He did, and
I
not
would
to be able
say-
to understand him.
When you first get to see
Come on.
her, she was more threatening. But as the movie
Right.
progressed, the threat
Yeah.
levels started
Correct.
dropping.
she became weaker.
Because it showed
Player.
when she's failing to accomplish what she was hired for, he cheats, he kills, she maims, or whatever. She'll go for that. I mean, I guess that's what any villain would do. That's where she's not really that intellectual. We saw from
Well,
others.
even her fighting scenes were kind of like,
Yeah, when she took down those security guards, it was like she was struggling. Was not with finesse.
Where she had the biggest struggle was with Sully, and probably would have made more sense if they could explain like the background between her and Sully a little bit better, if they had a better story tied to each other.
well, it's the same thing with Sully
Chloe.
and Chloe too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's like you just if you felt like you're thrown into relationship.
or what if she
I'm
had
wondering-
a more interaction with Drake? Because remember, he was dodging her in every corner he could because of what Sully
Well, in the
said.
beginning was
And if there was more interaction with her and Drake, and then he finds out that she was the cause of his brother, or suspects that she was the cause of his brother.
He found out. He
did
found
go
out-
after her.
he
did
found and he went after her in
on the boat, on the ship.
yes,
And on the plane.
They
But that
fought.
was because of what
and
Sully
on the plane
told
too.
her.
Yeah.
Told him. Yeah, he finds out about his brother that way. But would it have been more impactful if like he was making connections with her first, rather than I'm avoiding this person. Now I find out this person's probably the cause of my brother's death.
I think that could have fall into cliche because you're sleeping with the enemy.
I
A little
just
bit
think
of-
it would have give her more of an impact. Because like we said, like she had a heavier impact when you first start meeting her. And then as the movie progressed, she seemed less and less and less until she, offed Antonio. And then we're like, okay, but why?
Well, the thing is, like, I think they try to make her like a James Bond girl or a Bond girl, the ones on the bad side, because sometimes there's usually two Bond girls, one with
True.
love interest and then the villainess.
Well, Chloe was the love interest.
Right.
Yeah.
But like you have like the one with Pierce Bronson, Femke Janssen. He played a Bond girl, but villainous, and she was wicked. And you saw that,
Now,
you felt that.
she played
Too
popular.
old, but
Well, I mean, the idea.
I don't know. It's just you're right. And as she first appeared, threatening, and then later on, I was like, oh, her again. It's like
It's more like that hair again.
talk about someone's looks. You'll get canceled.
The looks, it's the hair.
That's
Well,
what made
actually,
her
she probably would
intimidating.
look better.
And hey, maybe it was on purpose. She looked like a reptile. She looked like a snake, and that's what she was ultimately, a snake.
Ooh.
That
I mean,
could be
that
a
is a
visual.
thing. Like people will go for certain styles, and like this is a subconscious style that they choose artistically.
Well, no,
wise.
not them in a sense, but the production.
No,
Not-
that's what I'm
not-
talking about. Production will choose that for like a character portrayal. We want this person to be like get the impression that you can't trust them. They're untrustworthy. Let's make a subtle design change that will make them seem this way. And that's not a bad call out. And if that was intentional, I can see that. Her style and look is kind of reptilian. Like when you look at her in the end scene,
and
with
she
her
has
outfits,
that her thing is like a fang, her
the
knife
karambit.
is like a
Okay.
So if that was a goal of
That
production,
connection.
yeah,
success.
maybe. I think she is from one of the games, maybe Uncharted 4, which I have not played yet, or the one with Chloe in it.
Oh,
I
as a
don't
character?
remember. So yeah, as a character. So again, for those watching or listening, please comment. Let us know if she is from the games and which game is she from. Is there a scene that you liked?
My favorite was the when they first introduced the Scotsman. It was a good it was a funny scene. It was a bit of
Who?
action. Highlander. And plus it kind of gave vibes of like when like you said, there are moments that feel like Jackie Chan movies. So like when he jumps the balcony to escape the guys, it's kind of like
I thought of Police Story.
Story gave me that vibe. He's fighting around the room, even though he's not winning. He's like dodging, using his environment, and then it has a bit of humor. It was just an overall fun scene, and I enjoyed it. And he's having that dialogue with Sully. So for me, that was one of my favorite scenes.
Probably the scene where they're in the underground bar.
Okay, that was a good one.
And always his lighter.
Could go out for that lighter too.
For me, it was the opening scene, and then it goes back, and they the whole flashback into go back to that point.
So
I just liked it. Well, yes, but what I liked about that is because there was an opening scene where he's tangled
to
the cargo. It just showed you right there that they got Uncharted. They got how it's done in the video games. The ring floating by him waking up, seeing that he's almost at death's door, but he's saved by the skin of his teeth with his foot trapped into the cargo. The way he jumps from one cargo net to another. Again, when the car is about to hit him, he says, "Oh crap!" That's what was a famous phrase that he would say when he's about to face another challenge.
Mm-hmm.
And then again, when you have that long airplane scene, it felt to me like Mission Impossible. So that's what I liked about it, because for me, it just told me that they're going to honor the game and the fans of that game.
So what was one that you didn't like?
The whole thing where they had the ships suspended from the helicopters.
Oh yeah,
and they're like.
Funny enough, that's the same for me.
Because I didn't like the fact that she made a point saying that, don't damage these ships because the ships alone are worth millions and millions of dollars. And all of a sudden, here they are colliding into each other.
First thing Scotty does.
The mountains. Yeah.
And that they pull it out of the cave so easily. And easily, like no debris, nothing's in his way from, it's been there for several freaking decades.
I thought they would have collapsed before
being pulled up.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, too. But you also have that big opening. How's that big opening cleared out? Those trees should be like covering it through the years, but it was like easily pulled out.
It's very convenient.
Yeah, that's the one I did not.
It was the cinematic, the CGI fight scene, basically.
Right. Well, like Shang-Chi. became all mystical in a way where all the CGI heavy.
Mm-hmm.
Now the fight scenes were pretty good. I will admit that the fight scenes with Sully and Nathan against the guys, that was pretty entertaining.
Yeah, it was.
And when Sully's going to that helicopter or whatever that thing is called, or variation of the helicopter, he got up there very quick.
Yes.
I was like, all right, he can climb on cable. All right. First he's on ladder, and then he's on slippery cable with a bag of gold, which is not light.
Yes, but
The
did you see
bag feel
those
like that?
arms? He's been working those gains.
I understand that. I know his 4 a.m. workouts, do something, but dude, that's like up to 200 pounds on his back climbing. But okay. Oh, another call to Jackie Chan from Armor of God. His gum.
Oh,
He will
yeah.
pop the gum in his mouth, and that's how Jackie Chan would do too in his the Armor of God series. And he'll pop it, like he'll bounce off a wall or
Mhm.
have it here, and he'll hit the palm and it'll flick into his mouth. So he did that a couple of times, not major. Did it a
Yeah, I
couple
didn't
times.
notice that. I noticed
Right.
he took gum a lot, but I didn't notice the flick.
And did you see Naughty Dog anywhere? The creators of Uncharted.
No, I don't remember what they look like.
You don't remember the logo?
Oh, I wasn't looking for that. No.
When he opened up his chest,
Oh, Easter egg.
Easter egg was all these stickers. And it was right on the lower left
Oh,
corner.
yeah. Okay.
That's what I
Totally
thought.
went
I was like,
by
oh,
me.
there you go. I look for those things. All right. So let's do our reviews. Is it worth watching?
It's worth watching.
Yeah.
Yes.
I agree. How about this? Is it worth the money? Meaning, if it goes on Blu-ray.
No.
Okay.
No, I think spending the money at the movie theater is enough.
I can agree. The only way I would buy it is when after a certain amount of series.
Yeah, they made sequels and continued series. I would dare say when I left the theater, I would be like, I would have been okay if I saw that on TV.
Oh, okay.
Like if I saw it as a stream.
I have to disagree.
Ooh.
I think it needed to be on the big screen. I think the big screen was really
Helped you?
well. No, you just get engaged more in the sound of the speakers and all that stuff. Granted, you can get that at a home theater to do the same thing, but something with that much action and landscapes because they travel the world. You need to see that on that big screen.
That's fine. This is not about us having to agree.
No, I'm not saying that we should. I'm just saying
Agreeing to disagreeing.
Yeah, I think
Yes.
it's just.
But we
It's
all
good as
agree it's worth a watch in some form.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Guys, thank you for joining us on our movie review of Uncharted. Until next time, will be the next time. I am Angel,
I'm Adan.
and this has been Kimberly.
Bye.
Love you guys.
Love you
Love
too.
you, bro.
You did it. You guys did it.